Hello and welcome. With his quiet, humble and unassuming manner, it's intriguing to hear him described as arguably the best sports person India ever produced. But then those who've seen him take on and defeat the sharpest minds on the planet understand the respect he commands. This week on 101, meet the world chess champion, Vishwanathan Anand. As a young boy born in the Indian city of Madras, now Chennai, Vishwanathan Anand, or Vishy as he's known, was introduced to chess when his sister took him to a club in the city. He discovered that winners could continue playing while losers had to go back in line. Anand hated to wait and kept thinking of how to win, a competitive hunger that has stayed with him, and he's now considered the world's best ever rapid chess player, making his moves very quickly. India became keen to produce its first grandmaster in a game that has its roots in that country, and Anand, by far the youngest in line for the title, finally made it in 1987, the year in which he also became world junior champion. He soon gained widespread recognition in India as its chess icon. In 1991, he played his first Linares event in Spain, often called the Wimbledon of chess, and soon witnessed firsthand the power of the largely undefeated Soviet-era champions as he conceded a game to Anatoly Karpov that year. In 1995, the year he played the legendary Garry Kasparov in a tough game, Anand married Aruna, a stranger to chess who was soon converted and travelled with him across the world. He actually won the FIDE World Chess Championship in 2000, when the sport's ruling body had become split into rival groups. After being crowned undisputed World Chess Champion in September 2007, Anand became the first non-Russian, apart from American Bobby Fischer, to hold the top rank and world title at one time. Now referred to by some as the father of the Indian chess revolution for inspiring a whole new generation of players, he gives simple advice to the hundreds of children asking him for tips. He says, if you enjoy playing chess, then just do it. Vishy, it's great to have a chance to chat with you.
Thank you.
Now, tell me what are the trappings of being the world chess champion? What does it involve?
For the most part, it's fairly pleasant. So I wouldn't complain, but of course it also means that in many tournaments you're a target, so the amount of work and the preparation you have to do goes up slightly, and there are also pleasant responsibilities. You get to travel a lot, and I mean outside of the world of chess, and maybe be like a representative of the world of chess, and that's kind of fun.
You spend a lot of time on the road as well, don't you?
Yeah, about 6 months a year traveling.
Where does it take you?
A lot through Europe. Europe is where most of the big events happen, but nowadays I'm traveling a lot to other places as well, a lot over South America and Asia as well.
Of course, you know, Indians are successful across the field. It's great to have an Indian chess champion, world chess champion. Traditionally, we've always thought about people like the Russians and Eastern Europeans being the sort of the big players. In terms of the people you meet, the nationalities, where do they mostly come from?
Well, the chess world is becoming much more diverse. Let's say 30 years back, it was possible for a team from the Soviet Union to beat a team composed for the rest of the world, and fairly big margins. Nowadays, obviously, the Soviet Union has diminished a bit, so it's Russia taking on this role. But Russia hasn't won the last few events, and it's getting narrower. And I think at the top of world chess, it's become much more diverse as well. There's India, Ukraine, Bulgaria, Armenia, Norway, Iceland. I mean, it just keeps on going up. England and so on. So there might be 8 or 10 nationalities. I don't remember exactly at any given point, but the chess world is becoming much more spread out. Now,
in terms of the way, again, the psychology is, how do you prepare for a tournament? How do you get yourself into the right frame of mind so that you're not psyched out by someone else?
Well, you first draw up a list of all the other participants, and then make a list of a database of all their games, and then start going through that, look at all the recent games. In chess, it's a big advantage if you can guess what your opponent is going to do in the first few moves. He's trying to surprise you, but if you guess correctly, that's a fairly big advantage to have, because it allows you to prepare very elaborate strategies against that. So what we do is we try to put ourselves in each other's heads and guess where the other person is going, but of course they're trying to do the same. And it's a bit unpredictable, but when you get it right, it works very well.
When you're preparing for obviously the World Championship, do you have to literally study your opponent? I mean, study their moves and see if there's any recurring patterns and so on?
Yes, exactly. I mean, you literally take every game they played as a child and try to break down every pattern you can find that you can make sense of. You also see all the recent trends, who's the opponent being influenced by. Perhaps he has a friend who's suggested something. You try to dissect every little bit of information you can glean from the games. But then you also have to do a lot of work in the openings and what you're going to do, because just because your opponent has a weakness doesn't mean you can take advantage of it. So it's a bit of that. You also have to guess what he's trying to do about you, and it's a lot of guesswork. So you can do a lot of work for a match and have it completely wasted, or have a bullseye, and that's the key, really.
Is there a growing following in the world of chess, or is it one that's diminished compared with other sports? In the world of computer video games and television with 500 channels, the distraction for children is there, and I wonder if they would devote the time learning chess as much. I mean, I wonder if there's a generational change in the number of kids playing chess.
Generally, I think chess is very competitive with video games and so on, because you can play 1-minute games, 3-minute games, 5-minute games. The trick is to introduce kids to chess very early, and normally if you do that, then it's not like they're easily distracted by other things, because chess itself can be played at the rate you want, at the pace you want. So it's very important, and we have a big project in India where 200,000 kids took part in our competition last year, to get chess into schools, because I think it's important that they get to know the game early, and then you can pretty much lead them to their own devices.
Well, let's take you back. You were born in Chennai, in India, and it was your mother, Susila, who actually taught you chess from an early age.
Yeah, when I was 6, in fact. The point was my mother knew how to play chess, and her family used to play chess, so that some of my uncles played chess in university and were university champions and so on.
So a high standard in the family already.
Yeah, a reasonable. My mother didn't really have the time to go to clubs and practice a lot, but she would accompany me to a lot of tournaments. And especially in the Philippines, she was, when I was at school, there used to be a 1-hour program on TV about chess. So she would note down everything that happened, so that when I came back from school, then she would show me the game that they showed, and then we'd solve the puzzle at the end, and I would send in my solution. And over several months, I won like more than 10 prizes. So that they called me back and said, when I went again, and you got a free book every time. So they'd call me back and say, look, just here's our library, take a few books, but don't send any more entries.
No, so how did your father, Vishwanathan, how did he influence you?
I think he was very supportive, and what I really appreciate from both my parents is that they never put any pressure on me. They understood that it's best to leave me to my own devices. I mean, they were happy I was really into chess. But in India in those days, parents tended to worry if you concentrate on anything other than your studies, more than a certain point. My parents were fairly relaxed in that sense. And my father, in fact, at a couple of moments, you had to go to school or university and tell them, cut him a break. And in that sense, he was very helpful. But I would say my style of playing chess is very intuitive, and I'm probably more like my mother than.
Now, you have an older brother and sister too. Now, they're a little bit, quite a bit older than you. So how was that relationship? I mean, you were basically a baby as they were nearly reaching teens.
Yeah, in fact, my sister used to take me to the chess club. She found the chess club. Sometimes my brother would do that. We would live a bit away, so they'd take me there by cycle, drop me off, and pick me up later, and so on. But it's right. I mean, essentially, I thought I had 2 sets of parents, and all of them just so much older that.
How was life in Chennai? Because it's one of the sort of musical and arts capitals, the cultural sort of capital in India.
If you had to be born somewhere in India, in those days, I would have recommended Chennai, because we had a strong chess community by Indian standards, and still Tamil Nadu and Chennai, the leading center of chess in India. So that was, and our particular club was very active as well. They literally, in certain years, I think 1980 and 81, they had a tournament practically every other week. So close to 30 tournaments a year they would host, and that gave me the chance to practice a huge amount.
Now, you actually studied commerce. You went to study commerce. What was your plan in life initially? I mean, not knowing that perhaps you might be a world champion, of course, one day. What was your goal?
Well, when I finished school, I became a grandmaster right away, and I had won the World Junior basically a month after finishing school. So at that point, I decided to go to college anyway. Though I suspected what I really wanted to do was become a professional chess player. But I decided to go through college anyway, like a insurance policy or whatever. I have no idea what I'd be sitting and doing as an accountant now. But at that point, it seemed like a fun thing to do. I don't think it hurt that much. In fact, some of the best results I had is when I went to college, spent a few weeks or months there, and then came back to a tournament. Often I was very fresh and really looking forward to playing chess again.
So in terms of, seeing a lifestyle in chess, a professional lifestyle, how easy was it for your parents to adjust to it? I mean, you said they were very relaxed, but, Indian parents, they want their children to be lawyers, doctors, businessmen. I can't see many who would say, yes, my son will make a living out of being a chess player professionally.
Yeah, that was what's so remarkable, because my school was supportive as well. My university was. But I remember for the 10th standard and so on, when you needed to get leave for, you have to have a minimum attendance to go to the exams. Then the university at the, supervisory board or school board level, they were not very supportive. So my father really had to go and sort of argue my case. And if they were worried, they didn't let on. But since I already become like world junior champion, they had maybe that calmed them a bit, because they thought, well, he's really quite good and maybe he'll be able to make it as a chess player, and that's clearly what he loves. I don't know really what they expect. I guess my father wanted me to become an engineer like him, but pretty soon he was fairly relaxed. I think it's a big thing for you if you don't have that burden that you're sort of fighting your parents' wishes while you're doing something.
I have many more questions. We're going to take a very short break here. Back with more in a moment.